What's going on? Welcome to the A2B series podcast. I'm Isaiah, the CEO of Evron. I'm here with my co-founder, Chalique. Introduce yourself, Chalique.
My name is Chalique Sebron, the co-founder of Evron Digital.
Yeah, so what is Evron? So we're a rev gen ad agency. We work with growth stage B2B SaaS companies to help them increase revenue, create demand in their market, and help them improve concept for the next round of funding. And when we created this podcast specifically because we want this to be the platform for SaaS community, co-founders, C-suite executives, middle managers, anyone who's in the SaaS community. We want to be the go-to platform so that you can accelerate your company, your career, and just your overall fulfillment in life.
Yeah, so we've been in business for how long? Evron's been in business for a little
over 2 years.
I think it's going on almost 2.5 years now. Is it 2.5 years?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So actually we just got into the startup space in early 2022. Damn, it's 2023 already. Happy New Year. So we got into the startup space early 2022 with a couple Series A companies and a couple Series B companies, kind of how we was introduced. So we were introduced later on into the funding stage. And from there, we kind of just been kicking it. So, I mean, we've decided to start the podcast, obviously being that we've been in the startup space this past year heavy. And again, we've created a big audience, a big network within the startup space. So we have a lot of friends, a lot of founders that are friends, a lot of friend investors, VCs, angel investors. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. So what are you most excited for about the podcast? We could just go ahead and start there.
I think I'm most excited for the guests that we're about to have on. Like, we have some truly heavy hitters. We have some co-founders.
We have a list of like 20, probably 25 people. Like, we have a guest list to cover pretty much the whole year at this point.
Yeah, we have people coming from every perspective of SaaS. So if you're looking to get into the minds of a VC, we have several VC venture capitalists. If you're looking to get into the mind of co-founders, we have a plethora of co-founders, funded co-founders on top of that. So I know a lot of pre-seed and seed companies can get a lot of insights and wisdom and just structure out of this. I'm just excited for our guests because they're going to bring a lot of value to our audience.
So let's actually talk about some of the guests, right? We're not going to throw names out there because some of them are actually known. Some of them are actually known. So we have, for sure, a popular VC, a big VC, I would say, especially in the Texas space.
Ooh, yeah.
We have a big VC in the Texas space. Who else? We have a CEO of where are they at now? Are they Series A, Series B? Obviously, I can't say the name, so it's hard to. You just have to read. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think. But they've received a lot of funding. He takes a different approach on marketing, actually. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. He definitely takes a different approach on marketing. And when we spoke to him, I believe he said he spends what, $700,000 plus on marketing a year.
And that's not including.
And that's not ad spend. They don't spend money on ad spend.
It's an inbound thing.
And us as a rev gen ad agency is like, you don't spend money on ads, but I mean, he obviously finds a way to make it work. So
yeah, man.
Who else? We have a co-founder that had a big exit. Definitely a big exit. That's gonna be episode. Yeah, it's gonna be a great episode. It's gonna provide a lot of insight.
We have a CEO of a $3 million pre-seed company.
We do. You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it's so as you can see, the list is long. It's a long list of people. Obviously, which is why we decided to create a podcast to really give them a nice platform, and for us to learn as well. We do plan on learning along this along this journey with a lot of people that are going to watch the podcast. So
I think that's the biggest part for podcasts is we get to learn just as much from our guests as the audience does from us. So I'm excited about that aspect as well, is just being able to bring in these titans in the SaaS space and get their perspectives on the different areas of SaaS, and just be able to give our audience an immense amount of value.
Yeah, for sure. They, I mean, yeah, like the podcast. I feel like obviously this is episode 1, so I'll say maybe about 3 or 4 episodes in is when we're gonna start really having guests on.
Yeah.
We were planning on doing 2 a month, right? That was the original. We planned on doing 2 a month.
It might be more.
Yeah, now I think we have to do more. That's the only way we can clear that list of 20 plus people before the end of the year. So, but it's January. It's 2023. So we're into a whole new year. And I don't. So we can we could talk about our first topic, because this is pretty much going to be the basis of episode 1. So what do you see as what's the outlook for funding or the startup space for 2023?
I'm optimistic for 2023 when it comes to the startup space and fundraising. I know we've spoken to many people in the SaaS space, both on the venture capital side and on those who are seeking to fundraising. And it's just a higher accountability in the fundraising in 2023 because of the economic climate right now. That a lot of VCs have to make these dollars make more sense, because historically, just looking back at it, VCs were a lot more loosely with giving money to founders who had a great idea but may not have had the proof of concept, may have not had the metrics, may not have had the execution there, but they had a great idea and they may have believed in the founder. But now, going into 2023, these venture capitalists and these VC firms have to ensure that their founders have a roadmap, they have a game plan, they have a monetization strategy, ways to show that they can become profitable in cash flow and become equitable for these venture capital firms. Because again, spend is getting cut everywhere, and the marketing is getting cut, and of course in the VC space is getting cut. So it's just, founders just have to be able to prove ROI a little bit more and be more accountable for the outlook and how things will be going. They have to run a very tight ship. We've been told by a pretty big name VC that these founders have to be on their game. Like, the best of the best are getting funded. There may not be a lot of room for those who don't come with their A game all the way. So that's how, in a general sense, I just think founders are being held more accountable to what they're.
We're definitely gonna get into it for sure, because so I think in going into 2023, funding, I believe funding is going to not necessarily go back to what it was back in like 2020, but because I believe in 2020, in 2021, they gave out more than I think like 2020 and 2019 combined. Somebody can fact check me, but I believe that is true. So I think, again, like you said, as far as being loose with the money, I don't think funding itself is going to take a hit. I just think VCs are going to be putting their money into different ventures than compared to last year. Because like Web3 is going to take a hit. Definitely. Like Web3 is definitely going to take a hit. And I'm trying to think, like, it was an article I seen not too long ago, probably the day before yesterday, saying pretty much like how you have a lot of companies that they focus on one problem and they solve that one problem, they get funding. And I read that they're going to receive funding, obviously, if it's a good idea. Like, you're going to get funding regardless. But I don't think they're going to get as much funding unless they figure out how that one problem can kind of have a waterfall effect in solving multiple problems. Maybe not to the extent of that main problem, but they're going to have to solve more than one problem with whatever it is that you're trying to do, unless you're trying to solve like pretty much world hunger. Like, seriously, like, unless you're trying to solve like a very, very big problem. But last year, I think we've seen a lot of niche problems being solved and getting funded, money kind of just being thrown at, because, VCs just kind of want to make money. And the only way to make money is to spend money. So I think a lot of those companies are definitely going to have to start solving more than one problem. But Web3, so how are you feeling about Web3 going into 2023? As far as obviously the startup space, we're not really trying to get into the whole crypto thing, but how do you feel about, you think they're going to receive funding as much as they did last year or the year before that?
I don't think so, because Web3 already had this stigma about them before this economic climate that we're in. A lot of those in finances, even in venture capital, were not jumping at the opportunity to invest in Web3 from the VCs that we've at least spoken to.
Yeah.
Especially now with whether we're in one or an impending recession, I don't think Web3 is getting a lot of VC backing right now. But I do think for Web3 founders, now is the time to tighten up, because I don't think it's going to get cut and like there's going to be no Web3 that get invested in.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
This is the best time for those who have a very clear path of execution to really reinforce their efforts. Because once we do come out of this downturn, whoever is at the forefront of Web3 as far as being able to secure fundraising and execute on their plan, they're bound to have immense success going into 2024, 2025, whenever this economic downturn starts to turn around.
So where did this thing come from that there was going to be less funding in 2023?
That's
you've been hearing it, I've been hearing it.
Yes.
But I want to know where it came from, because because we're in, I guess, a recession technically, or going towards a recession. I've been hearing both, right?
Yeah.
And then like, I guess people have been getting cut. They've been getting, laid off.
Yeah.
Budgets have been getting cut, especially marketing spend has been getting cut. Which we can get into that as far as marketers being more effective, you know what I'm saying, with the small budget that they have. But I actually made a post on LinkedIn about this a couple weeks ago. This was November or December, I think. And I said that I think in 2023 we're going to see a surge of bootstrap companies, because I think a lot of people think, since we're going into a recession, that again VCs are not going to be putting a lot of money towards companies, which again I don't know where that came from. But with that being said, I think a lot of companies are going to focus on, like you said, execution, focus on their own game plan, rather than kind of just expecting funding to come and then worry about execution afterwards.
I think that's a good thing though, because I think historically, or at least within the past 10 years, just looking at data and just analyzing the landscape, a lot of founders just expected venture capitalists to just throw money their way. And it has happened. Again, like VCs have been pretty loose about giving out money. And now with the idea, if it is true that VCs are going to be cutting back a lot, especially in the early rounds, as far as how much they're putting towards the early rounds, it may cause founders to really understand that, okay, maybe I don't need as much funding as I thought I did. Maybe I could bootstrap this a lot more. Maybe I don't have to give as much equity to VCs in my company, because scarcity and a lack of resources causes creativity and innovation for solutions. And if a lot of founders find themselves in a place where they can't get funding, then I think it really forces them to really, really utilize their resources and have a much better execution and a better game plan. And the bootstrap route might actually become more popular, or it might have an increasingly popular take than VCs, than having venture capital backed strategies.
Okay, hot take. I do think maybe going into 2024, I feel like people have said this before, but going into 2024, bootstrapping is going to be cool again.
Yeah.
I think bootstrapping is going to be cool again. Being that people are not going to be looking for, I'm not saying not looking, but they're not going to be expecting a bunch of VCs to be funding them. So again, bootstrapping is going to be the way to go. And I think it's good, because again, it's not great to give up a percentage of your company. Obviously, you want to try to figure it out. But again, there are some companies that just need to, or a lot of companies that just need that VC backing, because there are a lot of benefits to VC backing. Obviously, you get way more attention. Definitely, you do get way more attention by just being funded. Because obviously, if you have other people putting money towards your idea, it must be a pretty decent idea. And obviously, we've seen some ideas that aren't so good that receive a lot of money. So. But yeah, like so what industry do you think is going to like really go crazy in 2023? It could be late 2023 too, because I think, I mean, I'm already seeing it now. We just spoke about it like a couple days ago.
Which industry?
Definitely AI.
Oh my God!
Everybody watching this knows this. It's definitely AI.
Oh yeah, AI is going crazy now.
It's like, okay, if you're watching this, go to Product Hunt and tell me how many AI companies are on that or are on that homepage. There's so many.
It takes up about 95% of the homepage.
Yeah, it does. It really takes up about 95%. Because remember we was going through, I was like AI calendar, AI, and like everything was like, it was like, wow, like how many, like I guess because Chat GPT really democratized AI for everybody. So now, especially with the API, a lot of people are using it. So it's like you see a lot of small problems being fixed because, believe it or not, even though Chat GPT is big, there are a lot of users or not users. There are a lot of people that still don't know what it is and what it does. And it's free. It's free, like for everybody. You can go use it. And so I seen, it was a video on YouTube. I seen it was a guy. He I think it could be lying, but he makes like $10,000 a month, $10,000 a month for like 2 months, I think, or something like that, or maybe for a month. Maybe I'm tripping, but it was at least for a month. He made like 10,000 in a month because he was doing copywriting on like Fiverr and Upwork, and people would send him stuff, and he would just put it into Chat GPT, and then he just sent it to him. It's like, here. And they pay him for it. It's like, it's crazy because they don't know what Chat GPT. I keep messing up, but what Chat GPT is. It's wild.
Yeah, I know people are getting scared of AI, but in my opinion, and I'm using it in a business sense. I'm not even going to talk about the masses being scared of AI, but I know a lot of companies are skeptical about AI because they don't know about the accuracy of it or where this data is being pulled from. But how I look at AI is that whether it is 100% accurate or even 80% accurate with some standard deviation or degree of error, I think that AI speeds up the process to the solution or the process to the answer. Because whereas it may have took you 2 weeks to find and uncover a solution to a very particular problem in your company, AI will automatically put you in the right direction of that solution. And whereas it may have took 2 weeks, now it may take, I mean, honestly, it can take 2 minutes. Yeah, it can take 2 minutes to find the solution. And you can trust AI to put you in the right direction and then start to take it with a grain of salt and obviously use human instinct and start to use your own discretion and emotions. Yeah. And your own emotions to kind of refine and analyze the output and what it gives you, and then make your own further assumptions about it. And it'll help you get to the answer quicker, because speed does matter in business, and that's speed to solution, speed to decision making, speed to being able to pivot, speed to uncovering inefficiencies in your company. And I think AI really is going to be, and it's in the direction of being one of the biggest business tools going forward.
And I'll say shout out to Alex Hormazi, because he's the one that posed the question, but the bigger question is who's going to have access to it, right? Because obviously we have access to Chat GPT 3. I believe they're already doing beta testing for 4. So it's like, who has access to the top AI and what can it do? So it was a question that was asked, like, because you can type in right now, right? You can go on the website and say, type me a $50 million movie script from Hollywood or whatever, and then it'll come up with a movie script. So are you able to type in, based off of what has been presented, what has happened, you can type in, hey, build me the next $1 billion company, and they build it out for you, because they write lines of code. Like, we've seen it, they write lines of code. So that's actually crazy. Like, but what do you, I'll say, okay, what do you think is going to be like the biggest thing in AI going as far as funding wise? Like, what do you think a lot of VCs and angel investors are going to be putting their money towards when it comes to AI? Because obviously, if it's just AI, you're probably not just going to throw money at it.
Excuse me, accuracy prediction
for businesses, or for
I think more so for businesses. AI can obviously come in handy for consumers on an individual level, but I think there's a lot of power in AI being used and being a B2B SaaS model and working with companies. I think there's a lot of proof of concept that can go into that, being able to help companies steer in the right direction of profitability. Like, VCs may love that idea because they can even use that for their portfolio companies who may not be performing well. Because if you can do some type of predictive AI that helps companies steer in the right direction or make pivots, then
because we've seen crazy technology. Just the other day, we've seen crazy technology ourselves on the back end, like what these companies have used or are using, and it's like nobody else in the world knows about this because it's kind of an internal thing. So I wonder how many other companies have things like that, just things that are like very powerful to use, but nobody else has access to. And that's really the big question mark. Because I'm pretty sure somebody has an AI system where you can type in, build me the next $1 billion company, I mean, execution always matters. So
yeah, it really does.
But I think AI, I definitely see. I think accuracy is a big one. I think, to be honest, I probably just agree with you on that one. Accuracy is like, because that's what a lot of people don't have. That's what people don't have in general. So I do think that's definitely a big one as well.
We can take that idea honestly back to the whole fundraising idea with accuracy. I think for a lot of pre-seed and seed companies, they look for so much venture capital funding because they don't understand the metrics they need to measure and how accurate it needs to be for their company. We've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, because usually, it's different. We're usually the ones that come in and tell them the metrics that they should be measuring. So
yes,
that's actually a better question. So being that we are a rev gen ad agency, what do you think AI is going? Because AI does kind of go into marketing already. So that's wow. I don't know how AI is going to be taking on marketing going in, 10 years from now.
I honestly welcome it. I welcome AI. I know for us, we're going to be productizing AI, obviously.
It makes our job easier.
It makes our job easier. Yeah. And then we can start to focus on the dissection of the output, the metrics that we get. And it'll just tighten up our whole operation. It just makes it better. I don't think it'll ever, in the immediate future, I don't think it'll put us in a.
It will replace some marketers. That's what I will say.
Marketers who are not good at marketing.
Yeah, marketers who are not good at marketing, they would definitely replace some marketers.
Yeah.
Only because I'll say you're gonna agree with me on this one. So the marketers that don't understand the emotional side of buyers, they're gonna be replaced.
Oh, absolutely, because they assume all buyers think the same, feel the same, experience the same thing. That lack of personalization is gonna be the reason that they're out of a job.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of companies are going to fail because of that. As far as marketing agencies, I mean, there's some that we've seen that have already failed because of it. You know what I'm saying? So you have something like AI coming in. I'm pretty sure that will be like next level. Like I'm doing everything you're doing because you're not putting any emotion into what it is that you're doing. So, yeah, for sure. But so AI in accuracy, I do so. Have you seen any bad AI projects?
I mean, getting into this whole sentient thing, I mean, that part scares me a little bit. the sentient AI, but I haven't seen a excuse me, I haven't seen an AI project that doesn't have some viability to it, that doesn't have some type of really good application to it that I've looked at. And obviously there are a plethora of AI projects out there, but the ones that I've seen have really good use cases. It makes things faster. It automates for you. It cuts back on resources needed. I mean, what much more can you ask for in business and even in personal life for AI that's for like consumer level individuals? So I haven't seen a bad AI project yet. I think here in the early days of it, there may be duplicate ideas or ideas that are very similar because everybody's, it's the early stages of AI being like front and center in the SaaS space. So people are going to have repeat ideas, but a bad idea, I don't think I've seen a bad project or idea yet.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think I have either. That's what I was asking. I was actually curious if you've seen any. So let's actually switch gears here. So my question to you, right, is what do you think? What type of founders? What traits do you think founders are going to have this year for 2023 to receive the funding that that they're looking for?
You're gonna have to have the ability to forecast accurately. If you can forecast accurately, be very clear with your game plan, I think you're leagues above everybody else, because VCs want clear roadmaps to profitability and cash flow.
Yeah.
And those founders who can forecast it at less expense, because again, you're not getting the same amount of funding that was being thrown around the past several years. Those founders who can get the most out of that funding, because you've spoken about it before, that a lot of these startup companies have hiring spikes that may not be needed because they think, oh, we hit let's say $500,000 AR, and with one sales rep, and let's get 3 sales rep, we should be at 1.5 million.
3 more, we should be at 1.5 if I go grab 3 more.
And that's just not the case.
That's true. I think so. I mean, I think it really ties down to, I don't even think it's just 2023. I think founders in general, because we've seen some not so good founders, we've seen some bad founders, and we've seen some decent and great founders. So, and one thing that the great ones always have is definitely the decision making. And we spoke about it before, as far as like being able to prioritize. That's probably the biggest thing, is being able to prioritize in the decision making, because you're gonna have to pivot. You're gonna have to pivot fast. That's just the startup space in general. And some founders just don't do it. Some founders are just slow. Like, they're slow when it comes to pivoting or making a change, or unfortunately sometimes they have an idea that they try to, not necessarily a business idea, but something within the company that they want to try out, and they end up trying it out for way too long. They use too many resources, and then they don't know when to stop, because it's their decision, so they feel like it's going to work out, which is, it's a good thing. But when you let it turn into something bad by not monitoring your decision making, not prioritizing what what should come first, and your decisions that are being made. So probably pivoting and the decision making are probably definitely going to be a big one.
I know we weren't going to say names, but I do have to give a shout out to Tarun from Spark Spaces, because I think he is one of the best at pivoting and making iterations like quickly. Because every time we speak to him, and there's been feedback from his VCs, his advisors, and even from us, he's made iterations very quickly for it to make sense. And I think he's the archetype of founder that I think VCs will be looking for. He has the ability to forecast, and also the ability to make the iterations, to make the roadmap work. Like, the vision doesn't change, or the direction he wants to go in. The end goal doesn't change, but the model to get there, the roadmap, he's not stuck to it, because he
knows how to adjust.
Exactly, he knows how to
where to adjust. That's the crazy part. Obviously sometimes you adjust and it still doesn't work out, but when you get feedback on it, or you see not necessarily the first sign, but a couple signs that, okay, this is not going to work, it's not like, okay, I'm going to be stubborn and keep going with it because it's my idea. It's like, okay, let's change something, and then now you're 2 steps ahead of your competitor because you chose to make a decision just a little bit earlier. So definitely Tarun. Like he's gonna be a guest on the show. Tarun. Yeah, definitely give a shout out to him because I remember from the first time we met him, one thing I will say is he's never came to us with a problem.
Never.
He's never came to us like, yo, I have this problem. It was more like I had this problem. Because at that point he already had the solution for it. And that's one thing, not just with founders, but really just people in general. A lot of people do go to other people with problems expecting them to have the answer. And it's like, I guess it's cool, right, for advisors and people that you actually need help from. But one thing I do not like is people that come to me constantly with problems. Like, I have a problem. This is my problem. Like, this bad thing happened to me. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do about it? You know, like, are you looking at it in a positive light? Because if you're looking at it in a straight negative light, then you're probably not gonna get nowhere with it. So it's like, okay, are you looking at it from a positive light? And then you're coming to me. Have you at least tried any type of solution? You probably haven't. You probably haven't tried any solution. You're probably just the problem probably just popped up, and you just go to the first person that, you know what I'm saying?
I want to put a pin right in that idea of ideation to like outcome, whether it works or not, because this applies very much to what we do when it comes to rev gen and revenue is benchmarking. And this applies to companies in a whole. If founders can't benchmark their way to the goal, then you're SOL. Like it plagues a lot of SaaS founders that they say we want to make $2 million AR in 12 months.
How?
What's the first stage? What's supposed to happen in the first month? How many hires need to happen here? What efficiencies need to be made here? Like, what's the benchmarks? What are some of the milestones? Like, a milestone could be, compressing how long it takes you to win a contract.
Yeah.
It could be increasing your ACV. It could be a plethora of things and a plethora of metrics, but what are those benchmarks that lead up to it? Because if you're saying it's 2 million ARR and you don't have any benchmarks leading up to it, your team is going to lose. They're going to lose their fulfillment in it, and they're not going to have a northern star to run towards. VCs are going to kind of look at you sideways if you're not on goal or on target. Whereas if you had benchmarks in place, you can show leading indicators that, hey, we're on the right track. We may be behind a little bit, but we can make these pivots. It allows you to find pivot points that if we are off target, where can we find the new efficiencies at?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I think I've seen that, like exactly what you're talking about. I've seen that more in Series B companies than anything. I don't know what it is, but it's mainly been Series B companies. And I believe, this is my hypothesis, right? I believe that because early off, you're so excited about the company, you're so excited about, starting a company, whatever, being a startup company, and you do set benchmarks. I want to do this is how I'm going to get there. But when you get, and that can last all the way up to Series A. It can. Doesn't always, but it can. But then when you hit that Series B and you're like, okay, you got this, you did this. Now and I'm not talking about VCs, I'm talking about from a founder, like they lose, not lose sight, but they forget, like, not necessarily why you started, because why you started could be totally different from where you are at a Series B. Like, you're obviously a totally different company. By that time, you should have received millions in funding, and your idea probably changed. But you don't set any more benchmarks because you're so confused. Like, you don't even know. And is there like a community for like Series B companies? Because I feel like they need each other. Like, seriously, I feel like Series B companies in particular, this is just from our experiences, right? They need each other because they're all like, what am I doing? Like, all of them, they're all like, what am I doing? I think if they had a community, right, to where they can relate, not just founders, but specifically Series B, where they can look and be like, okay, like, what is it that you're doing? Well, I don't know. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And like, I think that would definitely have a good community there, because Series B companies, I feel like, I don't know what it is. They just get to a certain point and they're like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think that comes from a lack of planning and a lack of decision making, a lack of prioritization.
Yeah. For the Series B companies that we've seen, they move slow. They move uber slow with decision making. And it's good. And it's good to take your time with
uber slow. Yeah, I thought that was actually doing it.
It makes sense, and it's good to, take your time with making big decisions. But the rate at which these slow decisions are being made, and the rate at which innovation and pivoting is being made, it's like they don't have the same. In some cases, in some of the cases that we've seen, they don't have the same drive or the same. Not even the same drive and passion, but it's not the same. Because I understand what you're saying. It's like they're on an island by themselves, because pre-seed can in a sense relate to seed can relate to Series A. Like they're like those three can kind of have the same issues in a sense, maybe on a different scale, obviously, but they have a lot of the same issues. And I think Series B, like their trajectory and what they're dealing with is either how do we get to an even bigger round of funding, because Series B is a huge round of funding by itself. And then they have to think about whether we want to get acquired, IPO, or we want to go to the next round of funding. Like the decisions that have to be made are bigger in the sense of like the future of the company. And so you have to, they do kind of need each other. I think I believe it.
So somebody that's watching this, make a Facebook group or something, a Discord of just Series B founders. Throw them all in there.
It probably should be us.
Maybe we should. We're just going to start inviting a bunch of Series B founders into a Facebook group or a Discord or something. And just every day just ask, what are y'all doing today? Yes. What are y'all doing today? What I'm about to say, it kind of just like went out the window. I don't know. I really forgot.
It's okay. But shout out to Series B companies. We're here for you.
Yeah, shout out to Series B companies. But actually, I think Series B companies, Series A and Series B, I think they're going to be the ones that have the most trouble with getting funding, and I think it's going to be for that specific reason I just said.
Yes.
I think earlier stage companies are going to have no problem. I think nothing going from 2021, from 2021, 2022, and 2023, all going to be the same as far as early stage. Later stage companies, Series A and Series B, Series C, they're going to have the most trouble.
What do you see, and this is not a loaded question. This is a very general question.
I feel like it's going to be a loaded question.
No, it's not going to be a loaded question.
Yes,
you can give a very general answer, but how do you feel about Series A and Series B companies justifying hiring spikes based on ROI versus just, I guess, volume? Like where does a good like framework or ideology that they should have or adopt when they're looking at hiring? Is it ROI based, volume based? Like how do you look at it in that sense?
Okay, so are you talking about from a founder, or are you talking about like just from a company perspective as a whole?
Let's go founders perspective.
Founders. This is probably another hot take. I don't think founders should be hiring. I think founders should hire a couple people, and then those couple people hire everybody else. Like you can hire, obviously, because we know from running a company, that's a lot of pressure on, obviously, every founder is different, right? But that's a lot of pressure on a founder, not to add to the fire for any founder watching this, but when you reach that point, like you can come to a point where you feel like you're responsible for 100 employees, which you are technically, you know what I'm saying? But it's like every decision you make is going to impact them some way. And I think a lot of founders do get caught up in that. And I think some founders, that's how they do their decision making. Therefore, right, why Series B companies take so long is because a lot of them are scared to make a decision because of everybody else in the company. And maybe that's just sticking to your vision or the lack of sticking to your vision. Because when you're stuck to your vision, you're going to make a decision quick because you're going to okay, I know this is going to work out. And if it doesn't, you just have to live with it, right? But some founders can't because you are responsible at that stage for maybe 100 employees at that point, rather than, going into it with a perspective, okay, I'm responsible for the 6 people that are under me, you know what I'm saying? Or the 6 people that I work with, or, the 4 people I work with, however many people it is, whatever your, SEAL Team 6 is, right?
I was just about to say
Yeah.
that's what Nick told us is have your SEAL Team 6 and then going back to what you said, let that SEAL Team 6 build out the rest of the department.
They build out their departments.
Get your VP of sales, get your VP of marketing, get your VP or your CRO, get your COO, like get those people, your foundational pieces of the business, and then let them build their teams out, because they're the subject matter experts for your company, and so they know what they should be looking for in a hire. It's harder for the founder, especially if you're like on one extreme of either being the tech-driven founder or the visionary. You should be focusing on things at a higher level, as far as fundraising, just overall trajectory forecasting. You have
the company
moving the company forward. You have bigger fish to fry than building out a department. Yes, you should probably you should have ongoing meetings with your SEAL Team 6 about these are the goals and this is the direction we're going, and you need to hire people who fit that as far as their outlook on it. But skill-wise and vetting these people, you may not be the subject matter expert, because I know a lot of founders who suck at marketing, so you don't even know what you're looking for in marketing.
Yeah.
You suck at sales, so you don't even know how to build a sales department. But go get that cornerstone, that foundational piece in that department, that they're head of the department for a reason. Let them build their department. You don't have to hold their hand the entire way.
That comes from founders wanting to be like on every decision that is made in the company, rather than only the decisions that push the company forward.
It's unhealthy.
Yeah, it's definitely unhealthy. I would definitely say it's not the right way to go, because I do believe you should meet every employee, everybody that works, because your employees are your supporters, right? I mean, that's why I call them. They're supporters of your company. They're working for you, but they're working for the company. You know, you just happen to be at the top of the company. Because and I do think you should meet with everybody in the company, because you want to see what they're bringing to you, what they're bringing to the company, what they're bringing to your vision. Because once you reach a certain point, the vision is not only yours. It's everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everybody in the company. And if everybody in the company doesn't feel that way, then you're doing something wrong as a founder, as a CEO. You know, you're not. You should be, everybody in the company should be on the same page. Maybe they're doing things for a different reason, you know, because some employees or supporters are going to have kids, some aren't, you know. So that just right there shows you some people are going to do what they're doing for different reasons. And as a CEO, you should know, or even not even the CEO, if you're the head of a department or if anybody's under you, you should know what's their purpose, what's their reason for them being at the company. You know what I'm saying? What do they get out of being at the company? Because you don't want to do that's how you end up bringing people in that, okay, I'm just here because I need a job. And you don't necessarily want people that are just here that need a job. It's going to happen, yeah, like it's inevitable. You're gonna you can't control every hire. That's why you have other people that hire for you, not a hiring agency, but obviously people that are at the head of their department. And yeah, you're gonna have people that come in that just look for a job, but you want to avoid it as much as you can. You want to bring people in. Okay, let's say somebody comes in that, hey, I just need a job. Obviously, they're not gonna tell you, but you could tell by their actions. From there, you can, okay, let's come up with a game plan. Let's come up with benchmarks. Okay, like how can we align some goals? You know what I'm saying? That you have in your personal life, that you're gonna have in your professional life. And therefore they'll be more willing to come to work every day, because if you're just coming to work for a paycheck, then you're not going to care about the next decision that's made in the company as long as you keep your job.
Hot take. Founders suck at delegation. Like they're
it's not
terrible.
Hot take at all. That's a real thing.
They're horrible. I remember, again, we're not going to say any names, but a very specific founder fired their CFO because they wanted to take over that role again. Why would you do that?
Yeah, that's, I mean, and I think in that example, I don't think the CFO was doing anything wrong.
Exactly.
I think they just wanted control over the department.
Trust issues.
Definitely trust issues. Don't bring your personal issues into
business.
Into business. Please don't do that. Bring the good habits.
Yes.
You know, but don't bring the personal things into for whatever it is, because I don't know why that founder wanted to do that, other than being a control freak. It
goes back into, and venture capitalists have told us this, a lot of founders are good at fundraising, but they suck at running the business because they don't know how to balance both. And a big issue why they can't balance both is because they're doing too much in the business anyway. Yeah. It's hard for you to look at the business at a high level and forecast the future and build a roadmap when you're stuck in making every single decision about every department and every little meticulous thing that goes on.
Yeah, and before we close it out, I will say that's because we've seen it. Where was it? I forgot where it was at. We've seen somebody say like, "Hey, how do I balance? Or how do I?" No, it was like I can't go out and get funding because I'm trying to run the company, or it's hard to grow the company when I'm trying to go out and get funding. And it was like,
you don't have a choice.
Everybody else is doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else is doing it. At that point, you're just making an excuse. Yeah. At that point, and I think you know how I feel about excuses.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. That's an excuse. You're trying to run a company. I can't get funding. You're trying to get funding. I can't run the company. How many companies get Series A, Series B, Series C, IPO? They had to go out there and get funding too as they're growing the company. Or they hire people, right, through the right benchmarks saying, hey, this is what you're going to do. Do you agree to these terms? Are you capable of doing these things? Yes, I am. Okay, good. Now you can go out there and focus more on fundraising because you have a team, a SEAL Team 6, right, back at the office that you trust that can run the company if you're not there, if you're sick. Because then you have founders that run into a problem where they are sick and they can't take off because they're scared that the company is going to tank when they're not there. That means you did a bad job hiring.
It's literally, companies will go a lot further if they put a bigger emphasis on efficiency. And this goes specifically to Series A and Series B companies because they're so big on growth, growth in ARR, growth in hiring, growth in this, growth in that. And they don't look at a lot of the friction that's happening in each of these different operations in your company. So they lack the efficiency. They're great at growth.
Yeah.
You tell them, they tell you they're going to do $1 million ARR. They knock that out the park.
Mm-hmm.
You tell them we need to hire this way, get these many sales reps, SDRs. Knock it out the park, but they can't really uncover where the friction is in the company. And that's what's draining them, is they're not efficient enough. So they feel like they don't have enough time or they can't run the company and fundraise, but you do have enough time. It's been done. Again,
just take accountability.
For years. Take accountability on it.
Take accountability for sure. That's what you got to do. I mean, that's just life in general. But okay, so we're just gonna wrap it up now, right? But so we've spoke about a lot. I mean, this podcast was really longer than it was supposed to be.
Which is good.
It's good. I mean, we wasn't planning on the pilot being this long, but so we spoke about obviously Web3. We spoke about AI. We spoke about hiring. You know, the landscape of fundraising going into 2023. At least our opinions on it. What else? I mean, we spoke about a lot at this point. Wow. So, I mean, I guess to wrap it up, we can kind of go in more in detail as far as what the A2B series will be. Because, again, a lot of people seeing this, hopefully they come back for episode 2. So what should they expect in episode 2?
You guys should expect this to be the platform for SaaS. We're going to put a big emphasis for founders and C-levels.
I was say not just SaaS, really just founders in general.
Yeah, founders in general.
Series B companies, come watch this. Send this to the Series B founder.
Yeah, we got y'all. I promise. We're going to bring some heavy hitters who've been in Series B successful Series B companies.
Yeah, we have one that's in the Series B right now that is already agreed to be on the show.
Yes,
going to be like one of the first five guests.
Yes,
for sure.
But yeah, this is going to be the platform. It's going to be your go-to platform. We know you have your very, very niche podcast that you listen to, one talking about marketing, one talking about sales, but we're giving you a very holistic hub of content surrounding the SaaS space as a whole. And you're going to get very different perspectives about different things. So this podcast is for literally any founder at any stage, having any issue.
The earlier stage, the better off you are later on.
Yeah.
I'll say that if you're watching this, the earlier the stage, the better off you'll be later on for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we got you guys.
Yeah, we definitely got you guys. So, I mean, with that being said, anything you want to like kind of end off on?
The word that comes to mind is simplify everything this year.
I think we should just do this every episode, just end off with a pretty good good piece of knowledge.
Yeah. All right. Here's mine. Founders, simplify everything. With the landscape we're in, both with economic downturn, with marketing spend being cut, with the idea of venture capitalists pulling back on how much they're funding. Now it's the time to simplify your operations, get the most out of it. You may not need hiring spikes. You may not need to triple the amount of SDRs you get to hit your revenue targets. It could be an efficiency that you have, and just being able to uncover that efficiency. Simplify it all. Simplify your day-to-day routine. Just do it consistently, and you'll get great results. But simplicity, the founders who can simplify both an idea, who can simplify the execution, and simplify the amount of resources it takes to get to the execution, those are going to be the founders that win. So if you want to take any word into 2023 and beyond, the word is simplicity.
Yeah, that's actually a good one. So, I mean, I guess for me, I'll just end off on what I've ended off before on other podcasts as well. So, everybody does not have the same opportunity, is what I will say. And so everybody does not have the same opportunity, but you do get an opportunity. When you get the opportunity, take advantage of it, and you'll be good to go. You'll be set. So, other than that, thank y'all for watching, and we will see y'all next week for episode 2.